Welcome back, everyone. So I wanted to spend some extra time today solving polynomial equations. I know this can be an obstacle for a lot of algebra students. So we will be solving second, third, and fourth degree equations. So note for my intermediate algebra students, nothing any more complicated than second, third, and fourth degree equations. So here they are. You see I have the answers already checked off. I just want to show you in real time, how to get those answers by hand and with the technology. So I'm going to hit escape on that page, and let's go to the next page where I've made it larger and dive right in. Okay, so if you're looking for a recipe for success, here's your recipe. You want to get your equation in standard form. You might be thinking, well, what does that mean? So that means descending order. So if you have a cubic equation, get it in descending order and set equal to 0. So for example, ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d equals 0. So try to get that nice descending order by the exponents and set equal to 0. After you do that, so that's step 1. After you do that, hope that it factors, and it will, because that's all we've learned how to do thus far. And then step 3, separately set each factor equal to 0. Okay, and let me squeeze in that last part of the recipe. Separately set each factor to 0. And that might not make any kind of sense until we do it. And this, by the way, should have said factor the polynomial. Okay, so let's just start off. Let's go ahead and take this piece, toss it across the equal sign. So 3x cubed, and when I say toss it, I mean what you're really doing is adding 48x, right, to the other side of the equation. Make sure you're in that nice descending order. So 3x cubed plus 26x squared plus 48x equals 0. Okay, hope that it factors. So remember, we try and factor it. We pull a GCF. Now we say, does 3 go into every number in the list? No, it doesn't, but they all have an x. So we're going to pull a GCF, x. You're going to be left with 3x squared plus 26x plus 48 equals 0. Now the challenge of factoring this. So plus and plus, plus and plus. How are you going to split a 3? So, your 3x squared is going to split as 3x and 1x. How are you going to split a 48? Well, there's a lot of choice you could do. 6 and 8. I always say start with the factors that are closest together. So perhaps put the 6 here and the 8 here. And then I always say check your outer and your inner product. So your inner product makes 8x. Your outer product makes 18x. And 8 and 18 go together to become 26. So that looks good. GCF still floating along, equals 0. Now this bit about set each factor equal to 0 and lay a claim on the solutions. Okay, so what I'm going to do off on the side here now is I'm going to take away this recipe. Alright, so now I could physically do that, or I could mentally jump to the final answer. So curly brace 3 solutions. Obviously 0 is one of the solutions, negative 8/3 and negative 6. Now if you don't want to play mental math for the solutions, you might want to physically set each one of these factors to 0. That's what I meant by that. So set x equal to 0. Set 3x plus 8 equal to 0. And so that'll lead you to one of the answers. That'll lead you, if you solve this, that'll lead you to negative 8/3. And then if you set x plus 6 equal to 0, that'll obviously lead you to x equals negative 6, which was one of the solutions. So you might need to physically set this factor, and this factor equal to 0 to see those 3 solutions. Okay, hope that helps. Now let's try, I'm going to scoot this down. Remember, you can always hit rewind if you need to. I'm going to scoot that down, take the next problem. Okay, now this one we luck out. Why? Because it's already in that nice perfect descending order. It's already in standard form. So it's a 4-term polynomial, so we split it down the middle. I always say put that invisible dashed line there. Pull the GCF of the first 2 terms only, which is p squared. You're going to be left with 2p minus 9. Pull the GCF of the second 2 terms, and what are you going to be left with? Now, I did want to mention sometimes students have a difficult time identifying the GCF of 72 and 34. So, I mean, one thing you can do is start thinking of numbers that go into 72, like 9, and then test to see, does 9 go into 72 and does 9 go into 324? And then go a little bit higher and say, okay, if 9 does, maybe something higher does. So, and take multiples of 9, 9, 18, 27. And you say, okay, maybe 36. So eventually you'll figure on the GCF. So let's pull a negative 36 as the GCF. And you'll be left with 2p minus, and then 324 divided by 36 is 9. So you luck out. Why? This matches this, and that's how grouping works. So remember, whatever matches becomes one quantity. And the leftover guys, the p squared minus 36, become the other quantity. And then p squared minus 36 is a DOS, a difference of 2 squares. So it's going to further break down into p plus 6 and p minus 6. And this one, 2p minus 9. Once you have it fully factored, curly brace, 3 solutions. You can do that by inspection. You might be getting good now where you see that's 9 halves, negative 6, and 6. So 3 solutions. Or like I said last time, you can physically set this factor, and this factor equal to 0 and solve. Using because it's equal to 0, you're using the 0 product property that any of those factors could be 0. All right, hope that helps again. Let's keep cruising. And I paged down to problem number 3. Okay, now with this one, we don't have our perfect descending order, our standard form, so we're going to put it in that nice order. So move this term over, move this term over. So if it helps you, write that step out, add 12k, add 12k, add 16, add 16. Zero it out is what I'm getting at. So 2k squared plus 12k plus 16. When you arrive here, remember the recipe, factor it. Okay, pull the GCF. 2. You're going to be left with k squared plus 6k plus 8. Keep factoring. K plus, how are you going to split an 8? 4 and 2, right? So k plus 4, k plus 2. And we luck out because 4 plus 2 makes 6, which is the middle term. That GCF of 2 just follows along, but it doesn't affect the solution set. So curly brace, 2 solutions. And of course there's 2 solutions because of the second degree equation, but namely negative 4 and negative 2. If you're, what plus 4 makes 0, what plus 2 makes 0, and then here 2 never equals 0, so that doesn't affect the solution set. So again, only 2 solutions. All right, hope that helps. Oh, I did want to mention, you can take an equation such as this and put it into the graphing calculator and verify, because you can find the zeros of the equation. So for example, let me show you how to do that real quick. Let's take 2k squared plus 12k plus 16. Let's put that into the calculator. And in fact, I would like to go back. In fact, I changed my mind. Let's go back to the very first equation that we had, this one. Let's put that into the calculator, and I've already done that for you. You'll see here. When we had set it to 0, see I have a 3x cubed plus 26x squared plus 48x. I hit graph, I see a polynomial equation. Notice where that polynomial equation hits the x-axis is the same as the solution. So you see it's hitting the x-axis back here at -6, and I'll show you a lovely feature of the calculator. Second, calculate, 0, enter, left bound hit enter, right bound scoot to the right, enter, enter. See, it's telling us one of the zeros is -6. And then likewise, if I went into this one of them would be at -3, and then there'd be another one here at 0. So we can try that again just to practice with your calculator. So second, calculate, 0 of the polynomial, left bound hit enter, right bound scoot to the right, enter, enter. I thought it was -3. Yeah, that's right. It was -2.6, which is matches what we got. -2 2/3, which is what? -8/3. So, and then the other one should be at 0. One of our solutions was -8/3, if I remember correctly. So let me go back and look. Yep, see, here's the solution set. -8/3, -6, and 0. So you can make that visual connection that the x-intercepts are the solutions to the polynomial equation here. Okay, of course we rearranged it and set it equal to 0. All right. So let me go back to the final equation. We had done that one, so we're on the last one for today, number 4. Once again, take that 40, move it over. X squared plus 3x minus 40 equals 0. Get it in that nice standard form. Hope that it factors. Now remember, I cannot choose 10 and 4. That's not going to work. X and x, plus and minus. What else could I pick? 10 and 4 is not going to cut it. Perhaps 8 and 5. Have the 8 here and the 5 here. Inner makes 8x. Outer makes -5x. And 8 minus 5 is 3x, which is the middle term. So it's all about having it factored correctly. Once it's factored correctly, curly brace, 2 solutions. Curly brace, 2 solutions, namely -8 and 5. And like I said, you could play with that on your calculator if you like. Now you know the trick for doing that. I'll do it with you. Once you have it in that, standard form, I'll just do this last one with you. You can type it in, x squared plus 3x minus 40. And I like to do zoom 6 for starters. And I see visually, it's hitting back here, one x-intercept at -8 and one x-intercept at 5, which is what we got, and which matches our solution set right here. Okay, and voila, we did it. So that's all our practice for today. Good luck out there.